Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Environmental Social Justice. I'm your host, Wendy Nystrom. Today's special guest is Joey Pham. He is the founder of Eorte brand. It is sustainable brand uniforms. Welcome to the show, Joey.
Hi, Wendy. How are you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, Joey and I have had many conversations before this recording, so we've gotten to know each other quite well. And I have to say, Joey's a stitch. He's fun. But you have a really cool background. You are a fashion designer by trade. You studied at FITM. You studied at Otis School of Art. And then you moved into clean tech. So could you explain your educational background, your aha moment to get into sustainable brand uniforms, and what you're doing now?
So I spent the last 20 years in fashion, and I love my job. I was a creative director for a lot of big brands, and I was constantly traveling. So I'm constantly in hotels, and there's times when I woke up and didn't even know where I was because I was so jet lagged. I was traveling. There was just so many things. But an incident happened one night where it was a late night, and I happened to spill red wine on sheets. And obviously it was like 1 a.m, and I had to call, housekeeper to fix and stuff. And I actually had a conversation with the housekeeper and asked her, well, what do you guys do with these sheets? I know it's red wine and I apologize for it, but I know stain doesn't remove easily off of white, especially wine. So I asked her, what do you do with this? And she go, well, we pretty much toss it away. And I'm like, really? And I go, how often does this happen? And, and she didn't really go into full detail because I know she didn't want to get herself in trouble. But she was like, yeah, unfortunately, we throw things away because we can't wash it again or we can't bleach it, things. And so then, that was in the back of my head for quite a long time. And during COVID, obviously, all of us had plenty of time to really do our research. And I just started researching into it. And I'm like, okay, well, what happened to the hospitality industry and where's the waste from the hospitality industry goes to? Because, we focus too much on fast fashion. Everybody speaks about how bad fast fashion is, how bad fashion as a total is. And I don't disagree with all of that. But we don't focus on the travel industry. We don't focus on airline, hospitality, restaurants. I mean, there's waste stream everywhere.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah. And so that got me into really looking into, okay, well, what do they do with the sheet waste? And what I discovered was that with a lot of hotels, they're very concerned about ratings and also, of course, every hotel wants a 4-star or a 5-star rating. Yeah. So, as a business traveler, if you're going into a hotel and you see a pin mark on a pillowcase or a simple little stain on the duvet, obviously you're going to complain about it. And then you're not going to likely come back to the hotel. And on top of all that, you're going to probably give it a bad rating or you tell everybody in your company, don't stay at this hotel because they're dirty, whatever the situation is. And so that's why hotels are so super cautious about every single little stain on their, on their linen. And that's why I told myself, okay, I need to do something about this. So that's where Eorte came about.
And that was your aha moment, like, because there are even some, high-end hotels that will embroider like your initials on your pillowcase. So unless you take that pillowcase with you, it's probably also getting thrown out, and that would be like a brand new material, probably never used. So you found this gap basically in waste, and now and guys, please go to Eorte brand and check out the website because I want the chef's jackets that you made because it's cool. I'm looking at this. I'm like, I would wear that with a cute pair of shorts. It's great looking. So now with your brand, you make uniforms. So what kind of uniforms do you specialize in?
So we specialize in hospitality, mainly like chef codes, sous chefs, executive chef, obviously, waiter, waitresses. And then now we're going into housekeeping and also working with valet. Because a lot of hotels now are getting more interested in obviously sustainability because that seems to be a big topic within every hospitality business that you could think of. And there's so many laws and regulation that's coming out right now against anti-dumping toward the hotel.
Oh, yeah.
And so more and more hotels are willing and wanting to be more sustainable. The problem that I faced when I started this whole thing is that this whole idea that they think that being sustainable means it costs more. they have to change something within their hotel. They have to add something, or something has to be done. So there's a cost structure to being sustainable. And so, of course, I came in there and I demystify that, because I'm like, no, actually, it's the opposite. I'm taking waste from you at no cost. I'm creating and converting into new product that you need. And then I actually sell it back to you at a discount. So it's a win-win situation. But what's exciting about this whole thing is that at the end of life, a uniform, which a lot of people don't think about, we take everything back. Where right now, conventionally, it just gets tossed into the landfill. But we take everything back because we want to be responsible for a full life cycle of our uniform. So we take it back. We have sensor within our uniform. So when we take it back, then what we do is we fiber it down, sort it, fiber it down, and wherever virgin yarn that we could do, we reweave it back into sheets, and then wherever miscellaneous become byproduct that we resell back into the hotel, like
That's
furniture, awesome. Glass frame, things like that.
That is so cool. I mean, and also you know, something to add to when you said that, you know, it's no cost to the hotel that you take away their waste. You're actually saving them money, because a lot of places get charged by how many times the garbage truck comes to pick up and take waste. So you're actually saving them money by reducing their outflow of waste. Talk about the sensors real quick. A lot of people don't put sensors in clothing, but this is basically to help you recycle properly.
Correct. We have an IP sensor in it. So what that does for us is it gives us a digital passport of a whole life cycle of waste. So that's actually in two parts is beneficial, because it helps us when we retrieve back the uniform. We could sort it within seconds, because we have laser that picks up the sensor and sort fibers. So we have full, bill of material of the information that where the uniform came from, what fabric it came from what hotel. So we have those full data, which right now seems to be very valuable, because it seems like a lot of hotels are currently working on ESG report and CSR report. And so a lot of these information, we could give it back to them at the end of the year. So now they could also track their full life cycle of waste stream working with us, Eorte. So there's a win-win situation that's happening that when I first created this, I wasn't thinking of it in that term. I only thought of it as, okay, how do we sort our waste so quickly without having a human error? So with our sensor, it let us sort 100% or at least 99% accuracy, because all our bill of material and information and content, everything is inside the sensor information.
And that's such a great value add. I mean, other than the sensor sorting for you, which saves time and money and effort, I get that. The ESG reports, that is so huge for companies, because before they would just check off the box, like, well, yeah, we're doing that. But now, you can't get away with that anymore. You actually have to have the documentation that, someone had to go dig that up and find it and provide the data as backup. You can give them a printout in seconds, which is pretty awesome.
Correct. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that's a huge value add for a company to have that.
And it seems like more and more hotel wants to be sustainable, and they want to report their yearly action in the waste stream. However, there's no really a system out there for you to do it. I mean, and so that's where a lot of hotels are asking us, like, how do we do this? How do we compel this information? And so right now, I don't know if you're familiar with the Green Key Global initiative that is coming out with all hotels. So the Green Key Global is an agreement upon all hotels in the US and offshore. And basically, it's about sustainability. How do hotels become more sustainable? How does hotel look at their waste stream? There were so many anti-dumping laws that's coming out by states and also by municipal, that more and more hotels are paying attention to it. But I mean, on a bigger picture, what I'm doing in my research is I'm discovering that Gen Z wants this, millennial wants this. I mean, Gen Z is going to be the next big group of people that's going to be traveling. I mean, there's 90 million Gen Z in the next 5 years are going to be traveling. And their number one thing is that they're focused about experience. They're not focused on buying a house or all the above.
Not even a car.
Yeah, they just want experience. They want to travel with a friend, have live experience. But what they're super conscious about is sustainability. So when they're booking a hotel, or when they look to book into a hotel, they look at initiative. They want to see this hotel is sustainable, number one, or have some form of sustainability, are willing to be sustainable in any which way. And they would choose, 80% of them would choose a hotel that has sustainability built into their business, as opposed to being your conventional hotels.
Oh, absolutely. And that is extremely important. I mean, younger generation, they're the ones going to be spending the most money. So they have, their needs are going to have to be accommodated. And I don't really think it's unreasonable to be more sustainable. I just don't think that's very difficult to do. Once we learn and get used to it, it actually becomes quite easy. When you talked about upcycling, so for the general public who they do not understand that, it's just simply taking a worn out product and using it or making it to something new. So you're not throwing it away, but you're cycling it into something else. Joey, if you wouldn't mind explaining what a product life cycle is. So the whole analysis of the full cycle, just so people fully understand that you're really, really desperately trying to keep things out of a landfill. So all the things that you have to do.
So what we do is we partner with a lot of key hotels, and we pick up their waste stream. So basically, it could be towel, it could be sheets, it could be duvet cover, it could be many other things. And so then we take it in. Obviously, it gets laundered first. So, and a lot of time that's a little scary when you see things onto these sheets that it even scare me. but what we do is that obviously we use a natural solution to clean our product. We don't use any form of chemical nor bleaching, because we're also very conscious, and we don't want, using bleach, there's agents in there that a lot of people are allergic to. So what we do is we do a natural solution that we clean our sheets, and then we take it in, and then we start doing our cutting. So with each hotel, there's different thread counts depending on the hotel and the standard of the hotel. So if you're going into like the higher end, like the One Hotel or the Edison Hotel, those hotels usually have 400 to 600 thread count. And even the Western has a 800 Egyptian cotton. So it really depends. And so those usually go into executive chef coats. And then everything else that's in 200, what they call T200, which is your standard sheets, then that goes into sous chefs, waiter, waitresses, aprons. So we came up with a system how we use the raw material, and so that's what we do. And then we start cutting our uniform, but a lot of our uniform are also customized to our hotels, because we come from a fashion background, and more hotel wants to stand apart. They don't want the cookie cutter uniform that you see from a lot of main brand. They want something different. And so we have, with our 20-something years of experience in fashion, we could come to the table and take their treatments and their brief and then create a new world for them in uniform. So it's really exciting. I mean, it's just exciting for us because now we get to look at raw material in a brand new way. And then, so that's how we upcycle it. And then when we sew everything, obviously everything gets censored inside there. So that's how we are also tracking the lifespan.
And bringing that full circular life cycle around. So as you said, the sensor tells you what the materials are, so that you can make it into something else, to the point where it simply can no longer possibly be used. That's when it finally gets retired, for lack of a better term.
But see, the thing is that we want to be responsible also for the end of life. Because for me, when I started the Eorte, basically, I didn't want just to take one waste stream and defer it to another product, and then that enter into the waste stream again. Because then I'm not really fixing a problem. I'm just prolonging a problem.
You're just taking it down the street a little bit.
So downstream it becomes another problem. And so that's where our whole sensor and our whole IP came about, because I was like, okay, we have to be fully responsible, because wherever that we're going to put out, we got to take back and figure out another solution. Because the whole goal of the Eorte was to remove or prevent waste entering the landfill. I mean, it's such a big problem in our landfill nowadays. And so as I share with you, there's so much fires, there's so many things happening in textile, because the sun's getting hotter, it's beaming onto a piece of glass, it's beaming onto a piece of textile, it's setting everything on fire. Ooh. And so it's a really scary situation that we're facing.
I didn't know that was happening.
Yeah, I think a lot of us don't really unless it's broadcasted on the news or unless it's told to us, but I'm in the sustainable world, so I get all the news and I learn about everything that happens, and it scared me. And
Yes,
so so that's why we fiber it down. We fiber it down to pure fiber, and then what we do is we mix it back with virgin fiber, and so 100% cotton fiber get mixed with virgin fiber and get reweaved into a yarn that goes back into a sheet again.
That's fabulous.
And it goes back into
that is so cool that you just think every step. And then there's one final step that I do want you to talk about that most people would not even think about, is your social justice aspect. Because all factory partners are located within a 5-mile radius of your headquarters. Not everybody would do that. A lot of people would ship it overseas where it's cheaper and easier. You are actually doing the right thing by keeping it local. That's pretty awesome.
I mean, when I started Eorte, there was 3 core pillars that we want. We obviously want to be sustainable. We want to be reusable, and we are all about people first. So we work with a lot of contractor that's in the 5-mile radius of where we are, because we're also very cautious about our carbon footprints and what we emit out to the world. So a lot of things that we do, we're very, very conscious of how we approach it. I mean, our pickup is done in an emissionless van. So, and then we map out locations. So we're not driving all over Los Angeles, nor San Diego, or San Francisco trying to pick up stuff. We map out, and we have a driver that goes to X amount of destination per day, so everything is local, and so you're not driving everywhere, and then everything is produced around our design center, because we wanted also to give back to the community, because fashion community in Los Angeles has been hurting, especially in the contracting world, people that make your clothes, because everything's been shipped to Asia because of price point. And and at the beginning we had challenged toward that, because a lot of hotel was telling us, well, you guys are not the cheapest on the block, you guys are not, and I always tell them, we don't want to be. That's not what we plan to be. But what you're buying into is that you're helping out on a bigger scale, because it's not just the uniform and the sustainability aspect, but you're also helping community that needs job. And so for us, that was super important. And
fair wages and quality of life and the quality of your product. I mean, it stands out.
Thank you. And a lot of time what we do also is that we pay a little extra for a uniform, because we also want our sewers to have health insurance. That's very important to us, because we want, so we a lot of cases we give a little bit more money than what the asking sewing price is, because we want to make sure that that the worker are well treated. So we do spot check, and then B is the fact that they are comfortable knowing that they are capable to get health insurance. And so we talk to a lot of our our sewing partner, and say, hey, if you can match this and we can work out, we could build a business together where we would continuously supply you work if you're willing to help us. And so we are fortunate to have 3 sewing factory that is willing to work with us in that way. And it's been great, because I walk in there and I see happy sewers, happy environment, not sweatshop, not all the above. And so, I mean, there's a bigger, concern for us than just making uniform.
Oh yeah, I mean, you're thinking about the people, which actually, I mean, that is probably the most important thing to think about when you run a company, is if your employees are happy, if your vendors are happy, your clients will be happy. It's just a follow through. It's something Richard Branson's been saying for decades, and there's truth to that. If you have happy employees, they're going to relay that back to your clients on the product that they produce. So there's a lot to be said about that and keeping it local. And I love the fact that you do that. That's really awesome that you're doing that.
Thank you so much. I mean, yeah, we got challenged from the beginning, because we had a few hotels asking us to ship everything to Asia and have it produced, actually in Vietnam, and produce it. And I was like, okay, 2 things that is wrong with that. Number one is that we're creating more carbon footprint because we're shipping things across and shipping things back. So that's number one. And number 2 is that, I want to get back to job in America. I feel like more and more we've been moving so far away from creating jobs in America, because we want things to be a little cheaper, that I feel like manufacturing and that kind of job needs to come back, and to be in the clean tech space, I have to think in that term, because, you can't just produce 20 or 30,000 miles away and then bring it back to the US and say, oh no, this is sustainable, because it's not. Yeah.
I had to have you on mute real quick because my dog has discovered a squirrel. So he is now barking his head off. I do apologize for that. We have a squirrel that likes to visit and it taunts him. I kid you not, the squirrel will just be there going.
Same. I have a dog that's same. Yeah.
And it's just like, really? I mean, but no.
Or maybe he's against us producing offshore and he's saying no.
He is against producing offshore. He is like, I am voicing my objection to this because it is wrong. Keep it local, keep your employees happy. So most importantly, the fair wages and everyone feels inclusion and valued and respected, which is amazing that you do that. So now how do people find you? What is the best way for someone to say, I want to buy the brand, I want to do what you're doing?
I mean, you could go to our website at 𝐿𝐿𝐷𝒄.com. We do what you call white labeling for a lot of hotels. So we don't put our brand into, when we work with Pacific Hotel, it's their label inside the garments. So it's hard for you to find, but eventually we're actually planning to go out to more of a retail store. So we're in talk with Williams-Sonoma and 𝐶𝐶 on a project that we're reaching out about on sustainability. So eventually you're going to find us in retail, but right now we're only focused on hotel. That
is so cool, though. I'm really excited now because you just mentioned two of my favorite stores because I love cooking. I'm not great, but I love cooking and baking. Same. And so now you're just two of my favorite places in the world. That's awesome. So Eorte brand, I'm just going to throw out your website. It's 𝐿𝐿𝐷𝒄.com, just so people get that right. And you can also find Joey. I think you're on LinkedIn, so people can easily find you there too.
Correct. And it's just really short. I mean, if you want to know what Eorte means, Eorte is actually the first thing that we call earth prior to earth being called earth. So in the 800 Byzantine time, that was what earth used to be called prior. So it was called Eorte.
I love that.
Yeah, and so
something I should know.
No, but over time we forget because it got blocked out of our teaching and our history. So when I did my research, that was what I discovered, and I loved the sound of it, and so that's where Eorte all came about.
I love it, Eorte. I'm going to start sharing that story because I think it's awesome, and it also drive people to your site. So there you go.
Thank you, Ruby. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, we haven't sold to the public yet, but I mean, we will eventually do a B2C. It's just right now we're only focused on hotel, and then we're scaling to airline next. So there's been a lot of different. Yeah. Oh, you wouldn't believe the waste stream. And that's another podcast in itself because I can tell you the waste stream that comes from the airline industry. It's crazy.
Well, we have to schedule that one because people fly. I mean, I do love airline uniforms. We have a little museum in Los Angeles near LAX that actually has the history of all the uniforms. And it's just cool to see. It's just neat. I love it.
Yeah, but what's exciting is that more and more companies are willing to look at waste in a different way and giving us opportunity to go out there and kind of reuse their waste. So it's exciting. I think it's very exciting because 4 years ago, it was like me knocking on.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've worked in this industry my whole life, and I literally, like in previous jobs, people are like, nobody cares. You should just learn something else. You're not going to have a job. And I'm like, thank you. Kind of think it's important though, so I'm going to stick with it.
I think people care. They just don't know how to do it.
And how is the hardest part.
And I think what you're doing is amazing because you're also educating and I think that's what is going to help a lot of us is that through knowledge and education, we're more aware of our purchase power. And so then we're more aware of what we purchase and that in whole help us all. And, so you make decision on your travel, you make decision on what you buy, what you eat. And so all that will benefit our planet in some form.
Yeah. So actually, and the education side, it has to be, I try to keep things very neutral because it's like, it's your decision, what you do. I'm not going to impose my values on other people. And I'm just providing information so people can make their own decisions. And we have a lot of noise out there of eco-shaming. And that actually has a negative effect where people say, well, I'm just going to do the opposite just to irritate you. And we need to stop doing that.
Well, I think also the problem also, and I'm making sure is that a lot of companies try to greenwash everything, and so a lot of consumer thinks greenwashing is now become a bad thing because they're trying to be sustainable, but they're covering by other stuff, and so but we're truly providing you a sustainable solution. So
Absolutely.
and it really doesn't cost you; it's a cost saving to you, and so that's what when we get new clients, we always express that to them. And in fact, that we could give you full data on ESG reporting, help you in so many different ways, I think is an amazing opportunity.
You know how many thousands of dollars you're saving people in just data research to pull together that information? They're like, oh, here it is. I mean, that's quite a lot of research someone would have to do, and digging up data and information, entering it into the forms, and you can just provide it. So that's the cost savings right there, in my opinion, my humble opinion.
Thank you. That's why I'm at 𝐿acy, and 𝐿acy is supporting every endeavor that I'm doing.
And just so people know, 𝐿acy is the Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator.
Correct. And I mean, I'm a portfolio company in it. And I mean, 𝐿acy is the forefront of sustainability. And I think that's what's exciting about this whole thing, that I have a tribe that believes in what I'm trying to bring forward for our environment. So it's really exciting.
Oh, it is extremely exciting. And I love the fact that 𝐿acy is supporting you, because they're a great organization. I used to go to a lot of their events when they would have like speaking engagements and stuff. So I know the campus well. And before COVID, there was actually a lot of cool stuff that would happen in the arts district down there. I hopefully that comes back. But Joey, thank you for your time. You're doing great work, guys. Please check out Eorte brand. It's EORTE brand.com. They're doing great things. And I mean, the full circularity and the quality of life and the social justice is amazing what you're doing.
Thank you so much, Wendy. Thank you for your time.
Anytime. I'm Wendy Nystrom, your host with Environmental Social Justice. We are now proudly sponsored by BioLargo. They just make life better. We'll catch you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.